Hi everyone, I'm Dan Delatorre. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner. I want to do a series, and this is going to be the first episode of that series. Everyone's doing either unboxings or showing off what they got for this past year, and also what they have in their collection. Actually, not many people are showing what they have in their collection. I want to do just that. So this will be the first of that, and what I'll do along the way is show you what I got, a little history on the comic, because what I'd like to do is share with you my knowledge of my comic collecting history. I have quite a bit of knowledge in my head regarding comics in general, storyline, how you obtain the comic, that sort of thing. It's going to be sort of a multifaceted thing that I'll do moving forward. And also how to collect comics because everything I got here is on a budget and I took my time. I rarely overpay for anything. So these are still very good tips moving forward. So let's just start in no particular order here. Let's just start right here. I got this is at San Diego Comic Con. I got this Captain America number 114. This is a John Romita cover. And John Romita is, God, he was just a great artist. He was the artist that took over the Fantastic Four run with Stan Lee when Jack Kirby moved on to DC for a short period of time. These are underrated comics. This is a great cover. Great cover here. I've not read this story yet, and I've got so many that I have started reading again, by the way. I'm a slow reader, and I'm reading the Thor run. I'll talk about that later on, but that's one of the first ones I got. Because I know all of you love to see these covers and you know what to look for. And if there's a spec issue in this, I'll let you know. This I got from Nando Knight. This was at a con in San Diego this past year, and it's Amazing Spider-Man number 45. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous copy. He's got this rated at a 7.5. This is the third appearance of the Lizard. And again, anything Spider-Man from the first 100 issues, I mean, get your hands on these things. I didn't pay that much for it. Well, I'll tell you, I paid $140 from Nando Knight. Great, great comic, and he's an incredible dealer. Seek him out because he's very fair. He finds the great deals, and he's one of the best dealers out there. He's just so personable. And this is going to get graded, no question about it. This is on its way to EGS. Shout out to another, excuse me, friend of mine, and that's Joe from 360 Comics. He's also a dealer, and he has a Whatnot show. I got two of them from him, and I started with this one here, and it's New Mutants 98, first Deadpool. And he charged a very fair price for this because it's also a newsstand. So I paid again a really good price. I think about 300 for this. It's in pretty nice shape. Also going to be graded. This is definitely high grade, and that's a real reasonable price for a very hot issue. Everybody's got to get this. Should be almost required in your collection if you are a collector. But you got to seek the deals when you can and make friends where you can because Joe is a friend. So again, he did a favor for me on this one. And the other one I got from him was another one that has been missing in my collection for the longest time, and that's ASM 300, First Venom. Also a newsstand. Not as high grade. There's a couple little spine ticks here on this one here, but still for a hot book. These are two books that have been wiped off the checklist from my collection here. So again, shout out to Joe from 360 Comics. That's a book I should have got, by the way. I was collecting back in the day, and back at my LCS was something called it was in Berkeley, Comic Relief, best comic shop you'd ever had. And when I went there, these were gone, low distribution, whatever. I missed out on 299, 300, and 301. And by the time 302 showed up, well, the moment had passed, and I didn't realize the value of this particular book. It took me quite a bit of money to finally get this in my collection, but I do have it, and again, it's a newsstand. Um, Couple more raw comics and some slab comics here. This is from Kamikaze, and Kamikaze is another great dealer that he's on Whatnot, and man, he has some really, really great bangers there, and he treats people really, really well. So I got this very classic, and also in really nice condition, by the way. Fantastic Four number 60. This is when Doctor Doom takes over the power of the Silver Surfer, and there's this long-going battle. Classic Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, goodness here. So forgive me if I'm not dealing with the glare. I don't have a screen to see, so I'll just sort of move them back and forth. Hopefully you can see the comic more than anything else. But all these I'm showing are ones you should be on your list. Spec issue, maybe. I don't like to recommend with spec because again, who knows what the MCU is going to do or not going to do. We know the Fantastic Four movie is coming. Doctor Doom has already been established. The Silver Surfer will be here, so I'm assuming that classic store will be around at some point, but that's years down the road. Some slabs now. One last Raw comic. This is for you, Mickey Swagglehawk. You're a big Darkhawk fan, and I didn't realize it till this issue here that Darkhawk was a Defender. This is the Secret Defender. So I'm a big Defenders fan. So I buy these whenever you can. I haven't read this yet, but I know they revived the Defenders after they had ended the series. So we'll see what they did. It just bugs me that the Defenders still hasn't had its moment in the sun. The Netflix Defenders with Daredevil, Power Man, Jessica Jones, and I've got who else? I didn't watch the series because it wasn't the Defenders. It was another version of the Defenders. Excuse me for a second. And that bugs me because I'm a purist, and very much a purist with that sort of thing. I heard it was a good show, but again, I want to see Doctor Strange. I want to see the Hulk, the Submariner, and the Silver Surfer, and the Valkyrie. So that's Nighthawk, by the way. So that's the Defenders. Anyway, some slabs. Again, this is an ongoing series. So I'm just randomly throwing these things out here in no particular order. This is an EGS Grail. I had bought this book raw back in 1988. I obviously took very, very good care of it. I've read it a couple times, but I didn't ruin it. And what's rare about it is that I bought it, read it a few times, and cared for it. And with these square-bound books, it's really hard to get a 9.8 still after reading these. I mean, this might have been so good it could have been a 9.9 or even a 10. It was absolutely perfect. But I see Tony Trombata where the flaws are with this. You get 2 flaws, I understand it, and still get a 9.8. So I see what the flaws are, but it's still a 9.8. Gorgeous condition. This is, of course, Batman the Killing Joke, the first print. And this is the issue where the Joker shoots and cripples Barbara Gordon, the Batgirl, for forever, at least in this continuity here. Great story. Absolute great story. If you can get the first copy, that's always preferable. So anyway, I'm just happy to get this again in a 9.8, so I have to be very, very careful with it. Speaking of Defenders, I got this from Nerdy Girl, the one and only slab I got from Nerdy Girl, because she deals in really high caliber books. She's got all the Silver Age Grails, and she has Golden Age Grails. I've seen her handle Action Comics #1. I think she's had a Detective 27. She's had it all, so she is completely upper tier. Now with this Heritage auction that's going on, I think even this morning, Swagloss is doing a show on that. That's where the big boys play. But I got this from her, and it's first appearance of the Defenders. This is Marvel feature #1, Neil Adams cover, rare Neil Adams cover. Apparently he worked mostly for DC, but came over to Marvel periodically, and this is where it starts. Now, to be totally honest, this is a Roy Thomas story. It wasn't the best launch for my favorite team. The story was so-so. Issues 2 and 3 are much better, but this is where it all begins, and I got a nice high grade. So anyway, Mickey Swagglehawk's got a 9.8. I don't see how he does that. It's just, yes, I'm jealous. I'm very jealous, and not afraid to say so. So we've got 2 more to show you. Then we'll continue on later on. This next one here is one that, this is one I wouldn't say you spec, but you should keep your eye out for it. It's an underrated book, and it's underrated as far as price. And if you can find it in this very high grade, which I found years ago, didn't pay as much for it, I would pay probably double for it now. And it's Incredible Hulk #131. And look at how gorgeous this cover is. An Iron Man appearance here. They do a nice battle. This is Roy Thomas story and Herb Trimpe with the cover and the artwork. This is during the Herb Trimpe run. Underappreciated, undervalued. Just good story. And look, if you can find these in really high grade, look how gorgeous this is. This is very, very white pages. Get your hands on these just to have it in your collection. These are the ones when you go to the Hulk bin, if you have Silver Age Hulk, these are the ones that are usually gone. So you may pay a few more bucks for it, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. I have several of these, 2 graded and several raw. Just because. I always buy multiple covers. I don't know. I started as a kid. Last one I want to show to you today is something if you are subscribed to me on my Instagram, this is my most precious comic in my entire collection. Back in 1988 at the WonderCon, excuse me. Again, I don't do any editing. It's just that you and I are sitting having a conversation. That's how I like to treat things. It's very impromptu, and just nice talk about whatever. Back in 1988, Stan Lee was in attendance in Oakland's WonderCon, and I had this comic, and I walked up to him. I was very shy in those days, and he was all by himself. In the last years of his life, he was surrounded by heavy security. Back in those days, you just walk up to him on the street and just shake hands and have a conversation, and he would talk to you. He loved his fans. He loved him to the last day of his life. I know this because it took 3 days to get his signature in his just months before he had passed. But back then he would talk. He had true love of comics, true love and passion for his stories, and every Stan Lee story, even the ones that are underrated, like the Strange Tales ones, they're really really underrated. Get your hands on them. That's a Stan Lee story, and no one told a story better than he did. And I'm making this big to do because this is a very very special book to me, and I had this graded by EGS. I might have him. I was nervous about it. Have it pressed and cleaned, but I was nervous about having my favorite comic all the way across the country, and it's Fantastic Four #3. This is a very underrated book. I look for the values of these. They're very low priced for what it is. This is, in a sense, the beginnings of the Fantastic Four as a team. This is where they developed or they profiled the Baxter Building, the Fantastic Car, the new uniforms. Everything starts right here. And this is signed by Stan Lee, and it's been verified by Tony Tromata and EGS that it was signed by Stan Lee. And again, I love the labels here. You have fun with the label. But having this in my collection, having it slabbed and professionally graded and preserved in this absolutely gorgeous slab, that was one of the things I did this past year. So be on the hunt for that. This will set you back a bit. Raw copies will set you back. Decent copy, $400 to $500 at least. But you got to be careful with these. This is in pretty good shape. Again, it has a spine roll or whatever. I was so nervous about anyone tampering with it, even with Tony. And I trust Tony, but I just wanted this back in my hands. I paid extra to get it back to rush the system. I just said, look, grade it, slab it, put it back in here, and give it back to me. So I might do this down the road. But anyway, that's what I have for this week. Now that I'm sort of back on YouTube, I'll be profiling some of these because I know that you like to see comics and see, what I have in my collection. I got boxes and boxes, so this will be an ongoing thing. And I'll give commentary what it's due. Everyone, thanks for joining. Like, comment, subscribe if you like this video, and we'll see you next time.